Hello and welcome to your weekend mini nerve. I am your host, Maureen Callahan, and this morning we are going to do a deep dive. We are going to show the real fight in that park between JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, the violent, physical altercation that really should have gotten the two of them arrested versus the fake version, the glossed up version that's shown in Ryan Murphy's love story. And this is important because there are a lot of people who are swallowing the packaged Hollywood version as truth or as close to the truth as one can get. And I am here to tell you that that fight was beyond disturbing and that there really is only one way to interpret it. And that these two people, as we have been discussing throughout Love Story, as it continues airing on FX and Hulu, these two people were so much more dark, disturbed individuals and really fucked up, quite frankly, than Love Story would like to have us believe. And it's very dangerous because it folds right into all that Kennedy myth making that the Kennedys, for all of their sort of prevarications about like, well, you know, media coverage, media attention, it's very complicated. You know, we don't want them in our personal lives. No. They love shit that valorizes them and makes the Kennedys seem like, you know, continuing on as America's royal family. Again, if the Nerve exists, we have many, many goals here at the Nerve, but one is to obliterate this bullshit around the Kennedy family and the Kennedy myth making. So here we go. We're going to begin looking at the fake fight on Love Story. We're going to break it apart in a few little segments, and then we're going to get into the real shit. And we're going to read from pieces that have been successfully buried, whether by time or by the Kennedy machine. But I've got a very long memory, so here we go.
Carolyn, come on, stop.
This is the fake one.
Carolyn, come on.
Do not grab me.
What am I supposed to do? You're running away from me.
He unhooks
Carolyn.
the dog from his leash.
Oh, so when you want to talk, I'm supposed to just drop everything and listen, but when I want to talk, I have to chase you through a park?
I just need space. Jesus.
You know what I think? I think you can't handle a partner who's emotionally mature enough to talk to you. Because what you really need is an excuse to escape.
You don't know what I need.
Actually, I do. You need control. You need to be the one who abandons. It's obvious and quite frankly lame.
You want to talk abandoning? You looked me in the eye and promised me you would do everything in your power to keep our private life out of the press. And then at the first chance, you turn around and make a public statement about our private life to the press. And it wasn't even true. How can I trust you?
You said it was okay.
I said it sounds like you don't have a choice.
There we go. The hair's doing the heavy lift. When the bun comes down, we mean business. Listen, that fight was not about that. That fight by the actual paparazzi who caught the fight on film, and we're going to watch the real one, heard the fight. And the fight was about John effing around with another woman, which is truly the only thing that could have ever evoked that level of rage. Not that it is at all justifiable the way Carolyn went after him physically and the way John went right back at her physically. Now we're going to look at John, quote unquote, taking back, that's very gentle, the engagement ring that he gave to Carolyn. Here we go.
But you hear what you want to hear.
Berman said that we have
really? Berman made you do it.
You made me do
The
it.
hair.
None of this would have happened if you just accepted my proposal in the first place like a normal fucking person.
I'm sorry, I needed time to think about a proposal that came out of nowhere.
It came out of love. But you know what? I take it back.
No, John.
If it's too hard of a decision for you to make, let me relieve you of the
John.
burden. Give it.
Ow, John, stop it. No.
Okay, so John is shown as the full-on aggressor there. Carolyn got very, very physical with him, and we're going to show it. But what I also find interesting and something that goes unremarked upon in this series is that they've got their dog there, and it's a dog that looks like their dog Friday. The idea that Carolyn thought it was a good idea to get a dog with a guy who had put his dog Sam down because the dog hadn't been trained properly and was biting people, at least one employee of John's, in the face. So instead of like looking to rectify that, it was too much hard work. So John just put the dog down. And then he went and got Daryl Hannah's dog killed. This is a guy you think is a good idea to adopt a dog with, let alone have children with. And again, this fight was not over their engagement or whether it was public or whether it was private or any of this bullshit that they're really struggling to have the level, the verbal fight meet the level of this physical brawl. I mean, this looks like a barroom brawl. Okay. This is so, Day Class A doesn't cover it. Here we go.
Oh, John, stay.
What the fuck is the matter with you?
Do you know how lucky you are? You should be grateful.
Why? Because everyone in the world wants to marry you?
No, because you're a crazy, complicated person and a pain in the ass, and I still love you.
And you're easy? You pretend to be some humble man of the people, but you're a spoiled brat obsessed with his own image. That's why you had no choice but to deny the engagement. You weren't worried about George. You didn't suddenly give a shit what Berman wants. No, you had to deny the engagement because you couldn't handle the world knowing there was a woman on planet Earth who might not want to marry you.
You know, that kind of does track. Carolyn could get very, very vicious. And trust me, she wanted to marry John before she ever met him. Okay, so again, this series is not trafficking in honesty. As I've always said, the real story is way more fucking compelling. Now, we're going to take a look at this post from Instagram that wound its way into my algorithm morning of. Imagine that. The algorithm knows us well over at The Nerve. Okay. At some point in 1999, John and Carolyn went into the DA's office in Manhattan. They called him Morgie, DA Robert Morgenthau, a legendary DA in New York, who had bigger things on his plate to deal with than the paparazzi annoying Junior and Carolyn. But they came in because they wanted an investigation launched into the paparazzi harassing Carolyn. I'm going to put my reading glasses on so I can get this whole thing for you. I quote, she had come out of the apartment one day. One of the photographers was following her. She hopped in a cab. When she got out of the cab, the photographer all of a sudden jumped out in front of her. She was startled. A car almost hit her. She was very upset. We agreed that we were going to put something in place to, bottom line, see whether or not it rolls, this is an incorrect word, to the level of criminality, aggravated harassment. You know, shades of Harry and Meghan's car chase in Manhattan that night of the award, the bullshit award she won. Listen, it is not a crime for paparazzi to take photographs of public people in public places. It's not. But these two were such effing drama queens. If it's that much of an invasion for you, leave New York City. Stop being such a drama queen. Move to a doorman building where you can get in and out through an underground garage in blackout windows, like vehicles that have blackout windows, and nobody knows who the fuck you are, where you're going. Get out. These two were ridiculous. Now, I'm going to read, before we get to the real fight, this is the real Carolyn Bessette. You know, I read from Michael Bergen's memoir the other day, and we'll go back into it next week, I promise. But, you know, there was that moment where she saw him at a bar with another woman, and she followed him home, and she fucking trashed his place, smashed it up, chased him down the street when he ran away, pummeled him in the chest, violent stuff. And one of the things that she said to him was, you like trashy girls, meaning that Carolyn, you know, while destroying this guy's place in perhaps a drug-fueled rage, she was definitely a borderline, among other things, just my opinion. So she's classy and these other girls are trashy. Here's a news report from January 3rd, 1998 from the New York Daily News. The headline, Upset Bessette Fights Photogs, Spit for Tat. Carolyn allegedly spat on photographer Laura Kavanaugh at Cape Cod Gateway Airport after Michael Kennedy's funeral, which was held on January 3rd, 1988. Michael Kennedy, by the way, smashed into a tree playing ski football, which the family had been told to stop doing, and he wasn't wearing a helmet. And Michael Kennedy, by the way, had been effing a 14-year-old babysitter. Marlena says to fix my hair. I'm so upset. This is what happens. Now, I'm going to read from the rest of this daily news piece. On Tuesday, when the couple was getting home or heading home, the usually quiet Carolyn got so mad that she reportedly spat in the eye of a tabloid photographer. I've never seen so much emotion out of Carolyn, says a source who claims to have been there when Bessette gobbed at Globe magazine photographer Laura Kavanaugh. Carolyn came right up to Kavanaugh and spat in her face from less than a foot away, in her eye. Can you imagine? She could have given her a real infection or worse. You want to talk trashy? The incident is said to have occurred at the tiny airport in Hyannis, Massachusetts. That is a small airport. A lot of witnesses to something like that, where John and Carolyn found themselves trapped by Kavanaugh and Star Magazine leadsman John Barrett. The confrontation is said to have gone down like this. John asked the photogs, why can't you just leave us alone? The photogs kept shooting. John pulled out his own camera and started firing back. That is mature. Grabbing the camera, a snapping Carolyn gave chase. Kavanaugh, that photographer, ran away. She gave chase, quote, cornering Kavanaugh, let fly with a loogie. Barrett is said to have a photo of Kavanaugh wiping her face, but it remains to be seen whether the Globe or the Star will publish it. They want to play down the incident, says one insider. Kennedy's office had no comment on the story. We tried to find this photo. It does not seem to be anywhere online or have ever made it to print. And I am going to guess that John Kennedy's office made a very lucrative offer for all of that film, and that these people signed a legal document to the effect that every existing frame of it had been destroyed. Because could you imagine America's princess, Calvin Klein's Carolyn Bessette, an image of her hawking a loogie, spitting into the eyeball of another woman because her picture was being taken. Your liver does more than you know when it comes to energy, hormones, digestion, and even regulating your mood. But stress, toxins, and processed foods are constantly overloading it. So what can you do? Introducing Peak's Liver Detox Protocol. This two-step system is both gentle and powerful. Peak leverages nature's most potent botanicals, minerals, and vitamins, combines them with their cutting-edge extraction technology, and creates supplements that make a difference. Their protocol has two main parts: a strong Sri Lankan turmeric mixed with cinnamon and black pepper to help your body absorb it better, and a spicy Sri Lankan ginger combined with cinnamon to support your immune system, improve blood flow, and help with digestion. This all leads to less bloating, steadier energy, and a clearer head. No miracles, just consistent well-being. Peak elevates nature's best with cutting-edge tech, pure, effective. Ditch the fads and commit to intentional health. Unlock 20% off and establish your powerful foundation for sustained well-being at peaklife.com/the nerve. That's PIQUE life.com/the nerve. Let's get into the tabloid television coverage, which for my money is the best coverage going, because they had no interest in whitewashing and sanding down the way the likes of the Kennedy-friendly New York Times, et cetera, did, okay? The real fight in this park in New York City between JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette on Sunday, February 25th, 1996. Again, a Sunday when people are out. You are doing this in public. You cannot have it both ways. Here we go.
Jr. considered the most eligible bachelor on the planet, and the woman on his arm is his girlfriend, Carolyn Bessette. They may look happy here, but it wasn't too long ago the pair were at each other's throats in a very public way. But now, for the first time, a friend of Carolyn's is speaking exclusively to American Journal about what happened the day of the big fight.
I spoke to her a couple of times during the episode of the fight.
Bobby DiMarzo is a photographer who met Carolyn 8 years ago when she was an undergraduate at Boston University.
We became very good friends really instantly. She was just a great girl.
DiMarzo says
Modeling
he wasn't
test photos.
surprised when he saw Carolyn letting JFK Jr. have it during their caught-on-tape fight.
She'll do what she wants to do, and whether you like it or not, she's going to get it done.
This behavior in public, imagine what went on between the two of these people in private. She's with the most famous man in America, and they're assaulting each other in public. Now, here we go as to what the fight may have been about. Here we go.
The explosive lover's spat reportedly started after the 28-year-old beauty accused her boyfriend of flirting with another woman at a party. The disagreement turns physical as John appears to rip a ring off her hand here. Supposedly, it was their engagement ring.
He did. He ripped it off her finger. It was violent. And again, this reported, this did go around the world, but I would hope that in today's climate, people would be looking at John F. Kennedy Jr. as basically a woman beater, basically someone who's willing to get that physical. It gets worse. It gets worse. And I'm going to read a little bit from another biography of JFK Jr. in which his business partner at George Magazine was apoplectic over this shit because he was like, our magazine is not even 3 issues in, and now everyone's going to look at you basically like a wife beater. Here we go.
As John walks off, leaving a shocked Carolyn standing there, she runs up from behind and tackles him, grabbing his neck as he fends her off. Suddenly, they were in each other's faces, screaming at the top of their lungs, and Carolyn didn't hesitate to shove and push him when he tried to walk away.
She stands up for what she wants, and she's not afraid to say no.
So her friend says, she's a photographer who took modeling test pictures of her, said she stands up for what she wants and she's not afraid to say no. Like basically framing it like Carolyn's a really strong woman standing up to the heir of Camelot, America's prince who gets whatever he wants. No. These are two very disturbed people who are willing to physically fight with each other, and a man of Junior's size on a woman like this. I mean, are you kidding me? We showed this picture. There's an image of JFK Jr. She's up in his face, to be sure, but he's got the heel of his palm up in her, like under her jaw, trying to push her face away. Here's a pause in the fighting as Junior has an epic meltdown on the sidewalk like a toddler, and Carolyn's all over him, fighting over the dog. Here we go.
The couple almost make it back to the apartment they share in Lower Manhattan when the fighting erupts again. John slumps to the sidewalk and buries his head in his arms. He seems to be crying. He looks dejected, defeated. Then Carolyn starts pacing. She extends her hand. You can see John dropping something into her hand. It is believed to be the engagement ring he tore from her finger earlier in the fight.
By the way, he tore that ring off of her finger so aggressively that a stone fell off. And, it's not like John F. Kennedy Jr. is going to Zales to buy an engagement ring. You know what I'm saying? Next, they're going to fight over this poor dog. And I'm just going to say it, that this dog had to be rehomed after these two died was probably the best thing that could have happened to this poor animal. Here we go.
Suddenly, Carolyn grabs for the dog's leash from her boyfriend's hand.
Escalating
he
again.
Angrily yanks it back. The photographer who took these pictures says she heard JFK Jr. yelling, "You've got my ring. You're not getting my dog, too." And Carolyn reportedly screamed back, "It's our dog." She is finally seen leading the dog away.
This poor dog. Grabbing his leash, yanking him, yelling, they're this physical in public. You know, I'm going to show a photo of John and Carolyn walking later. This was after they were married, and John's got his wrist in a brace. He severed a nerve in his wrist, and all of their friends, Carolyn's and John's, thought that that was Carolyn's work, that it had been yet another physical episode of domestic violence, and she had severed the nerve in his wrist. These two were very fucked up. This is not a love story. This is not a love story. But, you know, tabloid TV, they've got to wrap this up with a bow, and we have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and the end has to be happy, right? This is America's couple. Here we go.
The couple console each other, but it's short-lived. Carolyn reads him the riot act once again.
She
Does what she wants, and
escalates.
She's not going to back down.
JFK Jr. finally gets up and reluctantly follows Carolyn. The bickering continues, and then Carolyn bums a cigarette from a total stranger standing on the street.
You like trashy girls? You like trashy girls? Before we get into Michael, this is from Steve Gillen's memoir, America's Reluctant Prince, which is all marked up. I've read it cover to cover. I want to just take a moment to note that there was an auction this week of Carolyn Bessette Kennedy's clothing. Only 4 of like the 10 lots were actually pieces that she had owned and worn, and the others were either inspired by her or I think came from like wardrobe from Love Story. But this is how insane the culture is when it still comes to these two. Her, one of her Prada coats sold for over $192,000. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to guess that the purchaser, the winning auction bidder, was either Kim Kardashian or Carol Radziwill. But Carol can't afford it. She's going back to Real Housewives of New York. But I think that's really fucked up. You know, there's this theory that called essentialism, and it sort of seeks to explain why we love to hold on to physical possessions that belonged to those we loved. And the idea is that those possessions contain something essential of the loved one, who wore it, who owned it, who valued it, whatever. And I think there is something to that, and to the idea that energy lives on in things like this. And I just don't understand who would want the dark energy of Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, who was beyond fucked up. Like, to the point where you would pay almost $200,000 for a coat she wore. Like, she was really fucked up. But here we are, and it's this shit. It's this Ryan Murphy shit in the culture. Okay, I'm going to read from Steve Gillen's book. Steve Gillen was a lifelong friend of JFK Jr., a bit of a water carrier, not a fan of Carolyn, but he believes Michael Bergen, as do I. And here is his a part of the book in which they talk about the fallout from that fight in the park documented by the paparazzi. Rumors were circulating that John, this is before they saw the footage themselves, rumors were circulating at George that John had hit Carolyn. He shoved her for sure. He ripped that ring off so hard that a stone fell out of it. So, you know, I mean, tomato, tomato. Am I right? Coming so soon after the launch of George, and while wrapping up the 3rd issue of the magazine that would hit newsstands that month, Berman, his business partner, Junior's business partner, Michael Berman, feared how the public would react, especially after the video footage revealed the truth. This could be the end of the business, Berman fretted. A wife beater. America's heartthrob is a wife beater. Meanwhile, John remained unconcerned, as per usual, and instructed Michael firmly to stay out of his private life. This is personal, John told Berman. Which part of this is personal? Michael shouted back. I'm sitting here in Milan meeting with advertisers. I know nothing about this, and you're doing nothing to clean it up. This is not just personal. This is the point where your personal life and your professional life, again, shades of Harry, mesh in ways that they don't for other people. There needs to be a response from our company. No one had yet seen the video that was scheduled to air on American television the following week. Let them show it, John said. It will show that she was the aggressor, not me. That does it. That does it for this weekend's mini nerve. We're going to keep banging this drum as long as Ryan Murphy's going to keep pumping this poison into the cultural bloodstream. We'll see you back here on Tuesday for a full nerve, and then again on Wednesday for the nerve at night. And remember, our Oscars live stream is just 2 weeks away. On March 15th, we begin. Oh, it's 1. Marlene's telling me is it already 1? March is flying. Oh my God, she's right. It's flying. 1 week from tomorrow is our Oscars live stream. Sunday, March 15th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We cannot wait. The props. Oh my God, the props. You can check for updates on The Nerve's Instagram page at The Nerve Show or on my Instagram page at Maureen Callahan Writer. If you haven't already, check out our Substack at thenerveshow.com. Be sure to subscribe, plus Nerve merch. Grab something for yourself or pick something up for a fellow troublemaker at shopthenerve.com. You can also listen to The Nerve every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern on Megan's podcast playlist. You can find that over on Sirius XM channel 111, the Megyn Kelly channel. We will see you back here on Tuesday at The Nerve, where you will never guess what we're about to say next. When was the last time you truly trusted the seafood that you brought home? The nutrition, taste, sustainability? Introducing Wild Alaskan Company. Their seafood is 100% wild caught, never farmed, which means no antibiotics, GMOs, or additives, just clean, nutrient-rich fish that supports healthy oceans and fishing communities. Wild Alaskan Company delivers perfectly portioned, wild-caught seafood straight to your door. The fish is frozen right off the boat to lock in flavor, texture, and nutrients like omega-3s. Every order supports sustainable harvesting practices, and their flexible membership includes expert tips and feel-good seafood. My personal favorite is the wild sockeye salmon. It's rich, buttery, incredibly fresh. The best part is that you can try this all risk-free, and if you are not completely satisfied with your first box, Wild Alaskan Company offers a 100% money-back guarantee. No questions asked, just high-quality seafood that you can feel good about. Not all fish are the same. Get seafood you can trust. Go to wildalaskan.com/nerve for $35 off your first box of premium wild-caught seafood. That's wildalaskan.com/nerve for $35 off your first order. And thank you to Wild Alaskan Company for sponsoring this episode.